So when I'm at work, I get ideas. I have no choice but to write them down since there's nothing I can really do with them. And it reminds me of when I take a shower and I don't have access to my phone or to paper, of course. The idea hits me, then I step out, I forget, and I don't remember it until something triggers the memory again. Well, at work, I tend to write my ideas down using receipt paper. And now I wonder how old this one is because I have "you don't have to work here" as a topic. Remember that 3 years ago, maybe about to be 4, I made that topic. I discussed it. So now I wonder if this is truly 3 years old, but something about it doesn't feel that old. And then underneath that is today's topic, which is other people have it worse than you. And this one is one of those topics in which I can declare, as rare as this is, that I have changed my mind on that a little bit. Originally, when I heard someone say that to me, I sincerely cannot remember why someone said that. I just remember it being someone, of course, in my personal life saying other people have it worse. And examples of times I have heard that is when I say, oh man, I'm too short for rent or to buy something or to refuel my necessities. You guys know that I spend on necessities. Someone out there could have said something like, well, but at least you still have the roof over your head. Well, at least you still have a car. Some people don't even have that. Or at least you have means and you can expect to get something. And I'm like, well, the whole point is supposed to be that we are supposed to be living in a privileged society, right? I cannot say that other people have it worse than me in some regards because, say, medically speaking, I don't get to go to a doctor. Even if I may be in a slightly healthier condition than someone else, I still could be the recipient of someone on my behalf saying other people have it better than you. And it's true, some people out there have it better than me because, say, they have access to medicine, they have access to treatment, stuff like that. I don't have that. So anyway, my point is that when I was younger and I heard that used against me, it used to make me feel super guilty, super inconsiderate. I just had the worst negative emotions attached to that. Oh my God, how could I have felt that way? How could I have said that? How did I fail to consider the other people who blah, 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 whatever situation, blah, blah, I may appear to be doing better than they are. And nowadays, I am of the opinion, as you guys can imagine, given that I guess I have a more, I don't want to say it's a rebellious attitude. It really isn't. I just don't like to be bullshitted to. And I like to look at things realistically and for what and how they are. And some things are nice, some things are not so nice, and I take it and I go. For instance, when I hear someone nowadays say, whether to me or to someone else, it's been a very long time since I heard that being used at me. But if someone were to say that to me, other people have it worse than you, and like, well, can we talk about the people who have it better than me? I think that is the best way to counter such a comment because it is true. Someone out there has it better. And I want to strive to be in a condition in which I enjoy the better end of things. Because sometimes I feel like you tell me that other people have it worse to invalidate my feeling as opposed to giving me a little bit of empathy or sympathy and even offering perhaps a way to alleviate my challenge, whatever it is that I may be expressing something about, or I guess you could say complaining about. And sometimes I think that you like to neutralize someone's complaint because it is legitimate, it is a challenge, it is difficult, and maybe as opposed to checking yourself if you have the power to do something or perhaps collaborate with me to figure out a solution, you would rather just say, oh, other people have it worse, as a form of dismissal. That's the way I see it. Because if you were really concerned about how I'm complaining, yet other people have it worse, when you do identify someone who has it worse, are you resolving that person's misery? And you guys know that I am saying it like that because of my belief that the point of being alive is to relieve misery. I thought I would share that with you, that I guess this is a topic in which I have evolved. Because again, in the past, it was very easy to manipulate me into making me feel guilty about something. Like, oh my God, you're a terrible person for not doing this, for not saying that, for not doing something. And instead, if I did something and I still had room to complain about it, like say, oh, I show up to my job, but I still don't have any money. For instance, other people might say like, well, at least you have a job and other people don't. What the fuck am I supposed to do? How is that my fault? That's the way it makes me feel. It makes me feel when you say that, other people don't have jobs, it just makes me feel like you're trying to say that that's somehow my fault. And I know you're not. But when you dismiss it like that, it's very easy for me to feel that way, because all I'm saying is, despite me showing up to this duty, I'm still struggling to make ends meet. And that is the reality for a lot of people. But somehow, as opposed to evaluating it from my experience, my situation, you just want to dismiss it and say that other people have it worse. There's always someone who's going to be better, worse, about the same. So what? Worry about me. Talk to me about me. Focus on me. I am the one who is addressing you at that moment in time. Get to know me and opine based off me. Don't compare me to other clowns. If I wanted to be compared to other clowns, I would do that myself and remain silent about it so that I can compare myself to others to my heart's content. But sometimes I feel like that is simply lazy. It is an extremely lazy way to converse, and that's why I don't have a lot of friends, and I am very particular about who I select to talk about certain things with. And I just thought that I would put this out there because I'm pretty confident that all of us, whether as a child, teen, adult, older, all of us at some point have been the recipient of such a phrase. And I just wonder what your thoughts are. Did it make you less of a complainer? Did it make you feel guilt? Did it neutralize how you expressed yourself negatively, and instead you turned into, I'm grateful for what I have, for it could be worse, and things like that? Or did something similar to me happen, which is, oh, I used to be driven into guilt, but now when I think about it realistically, independently, and practically, yeah, I do have a right to feel this way, and I'm not wrong. Or maybe you started off like that. You started off feeling the way that I feel now, the way that I have evolved, but somehow you were introduced into feeling the other way, which is the guilt / I will never complain about my situation again, considering others are worse type of deal. Or maybe you're neutral. Maybe someone says it to you and you dismiss it. You don't give much thought to it. Yeah, I really don't know what other way to interpret that there could be. But I just know that as a kid, when I used to complain, that's what I was told. Something like, well, other children don't have toys, other children don't have video games, this and that. And I'm like, put it this way, I'm complaining at my level. There are children who don't have a lot, who should complain to other children who are at their level of not having a lot and be like, well, I wish I had an action figure. And then the other one could be, I wish I had a toy race car. That's at that level, at that tier. If I'm over here and I have complaints of someone at this level, then manage me and treat me based off my level. And then there are going to be people who are higher than that, who are going to be like, oh, I wish I was driving, I don't know, a fucking Ferrari instead of a Lexus. I don't know. Just to give you something crazy. That is a person complaining about something that is at their level. Why would you say to the person who's at this level, oh, remember that there's people like 3 levels down, 4 levels down, something like that? What is the point? Let me complain about my own level. And if you cannot relate, just don't comment. But don't try to discourage me from feeling my feeling when my feeling is real. And I get it also from the perspective of, let's say that I'm complaining about, oh, my phone cover is black and I wish it were blue instead. And then you could be like, well, other people don't even get to afford phone covers. I guess I could look at it as, you know what, you're right. At least I have a layer of protection that if I were to drop this thing right now, guaranteed it's not gonna chip and crack as easily as if it were unprotected. But again, how is that helpful? And the good thing about me is that when I complain, I like for my complaint to be legitimate. And if it isn't, if I'm just venting, then I will let you know that I'm aware that I'm venting about something that's a first world problem. But that's why you generally won't hear me complaining about the more stupid things, such as today I went shopping and there wasn't a shopping cart available for me to carry the cat's litter. That's why I prefer to carry it by hand anyway. The less that I need to rely or depend on external forces, external tools, the better I feel. And maybe that's why it doesn't open the door for me to have things to really complain about. I hope that makes sense. If I wrote that 3 years ago, I feel like the sentiment I had is that around that time is when I was beginning to change my mind on that, because I still wanted to see it from the perspective of being someone who is understanding. But I also thought, I mean, our experiences are what they are, and period. There's some things that other people have little tolerance with that I have a higher tolerance with, and vice versa. You guys know that I cannot stand superficial conversations. Some people can thrive off that, good for them. But if I say something like, well, today I feel lonely because I don't have the connection present with me in which I feel comfortable at discussing a more serious matter, then as opposed to saying, well, you could have more friends if you tried, maybe try looking at it from my perspective and be like, oh, you have a very guarded and anxious personality. I understand. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I'm pretty sure that maybe that person who you yearn for will be available, but at this time, maybe consider what it is that you can achieve independently, how you can control your thoughts, control your mind, stay relaxed until you get the help that you need from the source that you need. That is far more encouraging, even if what you're saying is nothing that is truly aiding me to resolve actively my challenge, my matter. At least you heard me out and you're not trying to shut it down and dismiss it. That is the point. As opposed to being like, well, other people don't even have parents. Other people don't even have good managers to talk to. Other people don't have advisors, shit like that. I'm like, that is literally not the point. Other people get to go to therapy. Other people get to have financial advisors. I don't have any of that. What am I supposed to do? So anyway, I thought that this one is one of those topics that I really should share, because given that my opinion has evolved, maybe I have become detached from the original sentiment I had, which was I was ridden into guilt for saying things like that. And maybe one of you guys could remind me why it's important that I feel it the way that I felt it as it was taught to me. Or maybe you will 100% support my new stance on it and be like, that is perfectly valid. And I think that you're right. The way that you're treating it now and looking at it now is the way that we all should attempt to look at it now, because in the past, this was truly a manipulative, dismissive tactic. I don't have the answer for that. The definitive answer of that was wrong, that was right, I don't know it, I don't have it. I'm just letting you know how I look at that phrase now and how I think it works better for me to have this current attitude now. But maybe for you, the original attitude that I had is the best way to go. Maybe tell me why, and I can continue to tell you why I think of it this way now. But I thought I would leave it as vague as possible, and if it becomes relevant in the future, then I'll come back to this and give more descriptive examples. Sometimes I deliberately not share any examples because I think that it's nice for this to just progress. And as opposed to me coming up with experiences from the past, let me see how in more current times this shows up and I react to it. That's what I mean. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.